Hello, this is an introductory Python tutorial. In this video you will learn about strings. As always, to get started with following this tutorial, I recommend you to go to anaconda.com and install the package that will take care of all your programming environment for you. It will create a JupyterLab for you, and that is a tool that I'm using to create these videos. And to be able to use it, you will just need to open a folder in your terminal and type JupyterLab. It will automatically open a window in your browser that will allow you to create a Jupyter notebook, and you will follow every step that I'm taking exactly as I'm following it here. And that will be much easier and more convenient for you to learn programming this way. So let's talk about strings. Strings is a way to represent any human readable text in your computer programs. Basically, any numbers or letters or anything you would represent as text is represented as a string. The simplest way to create a string is to just type any text between quotes, like so. There you go, this is a string. As always, I will press Shift Enter to execute the cell in Jupyter, and when it gets executed, it returns a string itself. You can also create strings using single quotes as well. It makes no difference, really. For some people prefer one way, some prefer it another way. The reason you can do it both ways is that, let's say you want to use a single quote inside of your string, like so. I'm a great programmer. As you can see, to use a single quote, you need to wrap it in the double quotes. Otherwise, it would break the formatting if I would use a single quotes all along. So, as any other type of object, you can assign it to variable. So let's create a variable called s and assign a string to it. So I wrote a string and assigned it to a variable. Now when I type in this variable, it will return the string that I have assigned to it, like so. So that seems pretty simple. It's very straightforward, and the question is, what else you can do with the strings? Well, first of all, you can concatenate them, and first I will tell you about indexing. So hello, welcome to this simple introductory tutorial on Python. In this video you are going to learn about strings and what you can do with them. To be able to follow all of the steps in my tutorial, you will need to go to anaconda.com and install the Anaconda on your computer. It is a programming environment that will set up everything for you that you will need to be able to enjoy programming in Python. To launch it, you need to open any folder for your projects in your terminal and type JupyterLab. It will open a programming environment in your browser, the one that I'm using to create these videos, and you will be able to follow it step by step. It will also install all the libraries that you will possibly need to follow these tutorials for all sorts of stuff that Python can do, for data visualization and for math and for all sorts of crazy stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Strings. Strings are a way to represent text information in Python. Basically, it's any sequence of letters or numbers or words that you would use to basically any text that you can imagine. The simplest way to create a string is to wrap it in quotes. It can be wrapped in single quotes or in double quotes. Let's say I wrap some text in double quotes, like there you go. I wrote some text, it's in double quotes, it's a string. If it would be in single quotes, it would work just as well. The reason you have two types of quotes is that if you want to use a single quote in your string, like "I'm so great." This will work because the single quote that you wrote is wrapped in double quotes. If all of the quotes would be single quotes, they would be that would break formatting, as you can guess. See? So if I could only use single quotes, this would be a string, and this wouldn't be a string, and it would cause an error, like so. First of all, let's learn how to print strings. So now that you know what strings are and how to create them, the next logical step is to figure out what you can do with them. The first thing to do is to print them. You can just type print and type your string. As a result, it will print a string. The difference between just typing a string and printing it is that printing it will output it to the user. For example, if he's running your program in terminal. The thing about Jupyter Notebook is that whenever you execute a cell, it will print out the output automatically. So whenever I executed this cell, it has automatically printed out the string returned by this command, right? But if I would try to write several strings, like so, as you can see, it would only output the returning value of the last command in this cell. By the way, just to remind you, Shift plus Enter is what you need to press to execute a cell. So if you want to print several statements, you need to use the word print. Now you can create several commands, like so. And they will all get printed out just fine. Great, that's pretty simple. So the next thing you can do is indexing. String is a type of list. Basically, it's a list of all the symbols that are contained inside the string. For example, the first symbol is H, the next one is E, etc. Spaces also counts. It's basically just a list of symbols. So to figure out what this means, let's first create a variable called s and assign a string to it, like so. So now this variable contains a string. If you want to select the first letter in the string, you can type s and then in square brackets you can type 0. It will return the first letter of the string. The thing to remember about any list in Python is that it is zero indexed. That means the first element in the list is actually be called zero, a zeroth element, and the second one will be first, etc. For various programming reasons, it is more convenient than starting with 1. So as you can see, just by selecting, setting the number of letters that you want to get, you can get any letter in the string, like so. Fourth was a space, fifth will be a, etc. You can grab several letters from a string as well. For example, if you want to grab all the letters after the fourth, you can type 4 and the colon. That means take all the letters from fourth and to the end of the string, like so. If you want to grab all the letters up to a certain point but not including it, you do it like this. So the empty space here means from the beginning of the string to the fourth letter, and here it means from the fourth letter to the beginning of the string. So this command will return to you the first word, like so. Of course, you can also select a range of letters like this. For example, letters from 3 to 6 will be returned like this. For more clarity, let's make it from 2 to 9. There you go. One more fun thing you can do is use negative indexes. For example, if you select S and -1, what would that even mean, like negative index? Well, it means that it will grab the last letter of the string, like so. So basically, instead of counting from here, it counts from the end of the string and takes the last one from the end. You can also do a very weird thing called step size. So if you type two colons like so, and then select a step size 2, it will select every second element in the string. So it will skip R, Y, etc. And as you can probably suspect, it's possible to use negative steps. And that allows you to print the string in the reverse, like so. It's not very frequently used to use every second step, but negative indexes allow you very conveniently reverse any string. Excellent. So what else can you do? Well, you can concatenate two strings. For example, if I type hello and then I add plus word, it will return hello world, obviously. So that way you can just stick two strings on top of one another. If you assign a string to a variable like so, you can then use a string manipulation, use variable manipulation like with anything else. For example, you can say s equals s plus s plus s. So as a result, it will return, can you guess what? Hello, hello. So it took hello and added it and concatenated it to itself 2 times. Now it works like this. Another crazy thing you can do is type assign multiply, and let's say multiply it by 4, and because it is an operation executed on a string, it will do this. So it will repeat the string 4 times, and because the initial string was the string was hello hello, it has repeated it 8 times. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe not very useful, but pretty fun. Alright, so let's move on to the string methods. The final thing I want to tell you about the fundamentals of strings. String is a so-called Python object. You will learn what objects and classes mean in the future videos, but basically all you need to know now is that it has so-called methods, and methods are functions that allow you to manipulate this string however you want. It will be much easier to understand on the example. Let's say I create a new string and then I want to make it all uppercase. I can just type S period upper. Upper is a method on a string object that just automatically goes with Python that manipulates it so that it becomes uppercase, like so. You can also do lower to make it all lowercase. There are a lot of methods on all kinds of objects, and if you're using Jupyter Notebook, as I have suggested, you can just type the variable, then period, and then tab, and it will open a list of all the methods available to you, and you can look at them and browse, and you can guess what they do based on based on their names, or you can look up in documentation, and it's very useful. And if you forget something, it will also be useful to you for you to use as a reminder. So let's explore one more useful method. It's called split. If you type s.split and then type a character here, like say A for example, it will return a string that is split at this character. So the character A will divide the string into parts, Troy and this part, Troy and Ibet. So whenever the A is encountered, it will split the string like so. It is very often used with space. So if you want to grab every word of a string and put it into a list, you can just do this, do s.split and put a space symbol over here. That will create a list of all the words in the string. So now if I assign it to a variable like words, s.split, now I have a list of words. And I can do all the indexing stuff that I was able to do with strings. For example, I can grab the first word, like so. I can grab the first two words. I think you got the idea. And I'm thinking that the final thing I will teach you is the function called len. It allows you to find out the length of a string. So the string Troy and Ibet is 13 characters long. So there you go, that's strings for you. I really hope that this tutorial will be useful to you, and in my future videos I will tell you more about methods and strings and indexing and all sorts of fun and interesting stuff about Python. So I'll see you next time.